Denied, denied, denied. So, as you probably already know, Jack Smith had tried to get the U.S. Supreme Court to consider the question of whether President Trump should be immune from the criminal prosecution regarding January 6th. And the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, has declined to take up that, to consider that matter on the expedited basis that Jack Smith had requested. So this is something which is already being considered by lower courts. I think initially Judge Tanya Chutkan had ruled that no, he was not immune, and then another court ruled that he was, but then Jack Smith tried to get the U.S. Supreme Court to basically take it up directly as an expedited matter before it worked its way up through the normal process. Now, looking at the matter objectively, it's hard to come to any conclusion other than that this is being done for political purposes. Basically, the way Jack Smith has set up the schedule, he wants the trial to begin on March 4th, just before the Republican primary voting begins in earnest. One can only assume that the reason for this is he wants Trump in court while the first primary votes are being cast in an attempt to damage his chances of securing the Republican nomination. And the appeals process can take quite a bit of time, and it seems that he was realizing that if it was allowed to proceed at the normal rate, it's unlikely that the matter would be decided before the primaries begin. And so his objective of obstructing President Trump's ability to secure the Republican nomination would be frustrated. So he directly appealed to the Supreme Court, hoping that they would short-circuit the process and rule quickly. Well, they rejected it. We don't have a breakdown on if there was any dissent, but I would like to hope that it was a unanimous rejection, because this is clearly a political motive. Regardless of whether you think there's any merit to the January 6 charges being filed, the race to get the matter decided and ruled on quickly, and to have a trial start just before the Republican primaries, that seems deliberately designed to interfere with the nomination process. So I'm glad that the Supreme Court came to this decision. I'm glad that Smith has been rebuffed, and now that this has happened, it seems that it's going to take some time before the trial starts, and likely President Trump will already have secured the nomination by the time it happens. Now, of course, there's some that will argue that this isn't a good thing, that the people should know that what the outcome is before they start to cast votes for Trump. But really, I think it's best that people are going to have to make their own decisions when voting in the primaries regarding whether or not Trump is to blame for January 6th, without having it swayed by a ruling from a particular court. Because over the last couple of years, there have been some very questionable rulings coming from these courts, from these judges who are supposed to be impartial, rulings that seem to fly not just in the face of logic and common sense, but in the face of established precedent in terms of the law. So there really seems to be an undue political influence on courts that is when it comes to President Trump. So it's probably best that people are now going to have to come to their own conclusion and make up their own mind in this matter. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what yours are in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.